All right, let's talk about one of the most maddeningly human things we do, getting in our own way. We're going to break down exactly what that is, and more importantly, I'm going to give you a super clear, practical plan you can use to take back the controls, starting, like, today.
You know what I'm talking about, right? You're right there on the edge of a breakthrough. You've got the goal, you've got the plan, you can feel that buzz of excitement, and then, out of nowhere, you do something that just torpedoes the whole thing. If that sounds even a little familiar, well, you're in exactly the right place.
So let's get one thing straight right off the bat. Self-sabotage, it's not some deep, dark character flaw. It's not a sign that you're lazy or broken. It's just a pattern, a learned behavior. And you know what's so great about that? Anything that was learned can be unlearned.
To really get a grip on this, it helps to give it a face, a name. So let's call it your inner saboteur. Now, don't picture some kind of evil villain. Think of it more like a misguided bodyguard, a part of you that's trying to keep you safe, but its playbook is seriously outdated. Let's look at how this guy shows up.
I mean, just look at this list. Does any of this ring a bell? Putting off that one big, important task, starting something with a ton of passion and then just letting it fizzle out? Or what about that little voice in your head that whispers, "You can't do this. Who are you kidding?" These aren't just random bad habits. They are classic moves from the inner saboteur's playbook.
So the big question is, why? Why on earth do we do this to ourselves? I know it feels completely irrational, but believe it or not, these behaviors actually come from a deep and, misguided need to feel safe. They're all fueled by a few powerful core fears.
It really boils down to these four things. The fear of failure, well, that one's obvious. If you never really give it 100%, you can't really fail, right? But the fear of success, that one's sneakier. Because what happens when you succeed? The stakes get higher. People expect more from you. Then there's low self-worth, that nagging feeling deep down that you just don't deserve good things. And weirdly enough, sometimes causing our own failure can feel like a way to control the outcome in a world that feels totally out of control.
And here's the thing you have to remember. These patterns weren't born to hurt you. Way back when, they were probably survival skills. They kept you safe from rejection, from looking stupid, from getting hurt. But the problem is, those same reflexes are now firing automatically, and they're undermining the very things you want the most.
So understanding the why is huge, but we also have to be really honest about the consequences. Just letting this pattern go on, well, it's not free. It comes with a seriously high price tag. And the damage is real. Your momentum just dies. Your goals start to feel impossible. Your reputation takes a hit, right? People start to see you as flaky or unreliable. Your relationships get strained because trust starts to break down. And maybe worst of all is the emotional toll. You get stuck in this awful cycle of guilt, frustration, and shame, which of course just fuels more self-sabotage. It's a vicious, vicious cycle.
Okay, deep breath, enough about the problem. Let's talk about the solution. Beating your inner saboteur isn't about some massive personality overhaul. Nope, it's about having a simple, repeatable game plan. So let's walk through the three-step loop that puts you back in the driver's seat.
The whole strategy comes down to this. It's a simple little loop. Spot, challenge, and act. That's it. First, you get good at spotting the pattern when it's happening. Second, you challenge the crazy story that's driving it. And third, you act by taking one tiny constructive step forward. This loop, this is everything.
Let's break down step one, spotting the pattern. The key here is to become a curious scientist, not a harsh critic. So start what we call a sabotage log. When you catch yourself doing it, just make a note. What was the trigger? Where were you? What were you feeling? What was the thought? You're not beating yourself up, you're just collecting data. And pretty soon, you'll start to see the connections with crystal clarity.
All right, on to step two, challenge the story. Your saboteur loves telling these big, dramatic, catastrophic stories. Your new job is to be a fact checker. So when that voice says, "My boss thinks I'm incompetent," you push back. You look for the evidence. Actually they praised my last report. Then you build a better, more realistic story. You know what? They just seem distracted. I'm going to focus on doing great work. This isn't about fake positivity. It's about choosing a story that moves you forward instead of keeping you stuck.
And that brings us to the final step, the knockout punch. Take a micro action. This is how you physically break the spell. The saboteur's move is always to avoid, to run, to freeze. Your new move?
It's ridiculously small. You're just going to work on the thing for 5 minutes. That's it. Set a timer, open the file, write 1 sentence. That tiny little action proves to your brain that the story was wrong and that you're the one in charge.
Okay, so you've got the framework. Spot, challenge, act. Now, let's make this real. The best way to beat this thing is to start, and to start small. So let's talk about your first move.
So here it is, your first mission. For the next 7 days, just 1 week, I want you to focus only on step 1. Just spot the pattern. Start that log. Every time you catch yourself procrastinating or thinking a negative thought or avoiding something, just write it down. The trigger, the feeling, the action. That's it. No judgment. Just notice. This simple act of awareness is the most powerful first step you can possibly take.
And here's another great tool, the if-then blueprint. This is all about pre-gaming your response, planning ahead for those moments when you know the saboteur is going to show up. The formula is simple. If this trigger happens, then I will do this tiny action. For example, if I feel that sense of dread about starting a project, then I will immediately set a timer for 10 minutes and just start. You're basically automating a better choice before your old habits can even kick in.
So I'm going to leave you with this question. Just think about it for a second. Think about that big goal, that project, that thing you really want. What becomes possible? What could you actually achieve when you're no longer the main obstacle standing in your own way?